Namaskar everybody and welcome to the Geeta Satsang for today. Let us get started with our Prarthana. By the Guru's grace and the will of Shri Krishna, we have all assembled for this Geeta Satsang. May we have their guidance to be able to learn and adopt the things which will help us to grow spiritually. Let us chant the shlokas. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरये परमात्मने प्रणतः क्लेशनाशाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे तुल्यारविन्दाय तपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः रामानुजतया पात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणम् श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकम् यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्म व्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। So with prayers at the lotus feet of the Acharyas, let us get started with our topic for today. So in the last satsang, we saw the famous 47th Shloka, where Krishna advised Arjuna that he only has the right to perform action, to do karma, but not any right to expect any particular result out of that action. So continuing forward, in the 48th Shloka, Krishna further explains, he says, Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. So he is telling Arjuna, O Dhananjaya, be steadfast in the performance of your duty. Abandon all attachment to success and failure, and such equanimity, this state of samatvam, is called as yoga. So what Krishna is advising Arjuna is that if you want to attain this state of unison, the state of yoga, where there is nothing but samatva, there is no getting lost between the two dualities of success, failure, of happiness and unhappiness, of victory and defeat. So to attain such a state where you are able to look with equanimity at everything, you be steadfast in performing your duty. You have your focus on whatever is the karma that you have to perform. So here the idea is that Arjuna should not get swayed by emotion. He should not let his mind go by what other people will say. For us also, when we are doing something, if we are able to keep our mind firm, if we can have conviction in what we are doing, then it is a sign of progress. Now, what Krishna is advising, Sangam Tyaktva, give up attachment to the outcome. So, we may wonder that if we are going to give up the attachment to the outcome, then what is going to be the motivation to do the particular action, isn't it? Because many times we see, like if you take the example of student, a student studies. Why does he study? Is it without any interest in what is going to be the outcome? No, the student will study well because he wants to score good marks. And by getting good marks, he wants to excel in his academics. So now the whole motivation to do the studying is coming because he is having some interest in the outcome which is going to come. So if in that case, if Krishna's advice we take and he says, don't be attached to the outcome, then if somebody is not going to have any interest in the outcome, will he not become lazy? Will he not get into the mode where he stops doing the actions itself, right? So this is what is the doubt. But the acharyas tell, this is not so, because what Krishna is telling us to do is, when he says give up attachment to the outcome, he means give up attachment to the petty outcomes, give up attachment to the inferior goals of getting worldly pleasure or of getting swarga. Instead, he is asking us to shift our interest. He is saying, be attached to the greater interest of moksha. Do not be attached to the petty outcomes of any activity which will get you something in this world. So if you shift your interest from worldly desires to the desire for Vaikuntha, to the desire to experience permanent bliss with the Lord, then that is going to definitely be a motivating factor. So we may wonder that if we want motivation, we need to be attached to the outcome. If we don't have that attachment, then we will not do the action properly. But what Krishna is telling is, you have attachment, but to which outcome? That is what is important. Don't be attached to worldly desires. Be attached to the desire for attaining moksha. So, what we can learn from this? Many times we have seen in our life that if we are attached to the outcomes, then we are not able to actually perform the actions also properly. Even in case of worldly situations, forget spiritual practice. Even for worldly situations, like suppose let us say my father is ill. It is late in the night, and suddenly he says that he is having chest pain. Now I will panic. I'll not be able to decide what to do, how to do, and all that because I have panicked. My attachment to my father is preventing me from taking effective action. Suppose my friend is there in the house with me. Now, my friend will be able to do everything very efficiently. He will call for the ambulance, he will talk to the doctor, he will decide what has to be done next. He'll be able to do all those things. Why? Because it is not his father, isn't it? So, he will have the ability to act because he is not giving in to the panic. He is not attached to the outcome. Oh, what will happen? What if I don't get on time, get my father to hospital on time? What if the ambulance doesn't come? He will not have all those thoughts. So here we see that attachment to the outcome is preventing me from taking action. But my friend is not affected by that because he doesn't have attachment to the outcome. Similarly, let us say there is some important document and I have to search for it. And I have lost, I know it is inside the cupboard and I have misplaced the key of the cupboard. I'm searching, and all the time my mind is thinking that, oh, what if I don't find this document now? It was so urgent. Now, what will happen? And so on. I'm not able to search properly. But if my neighbor comes and I request her help, and she looks, she will find it. She is more likely to find that key. Why? Because she is not having this same anxiety about the outcome, isn't it? Many times we see in sports, like if there is a player, it's a team sport, and there's a player who is doing very well, then because he is doing well to reward his performance, he is made captain. Now, the minute his captaincy comes, then it may quite often happen that he starts being unable to perform at the same level as he was doing before. Why? What happened? Now the burden is on him. Now he is responsible for the outcome. Now he has to make sure that everybody else also plays well. So then, because he is attached to that outcome, he is not able to perform well. In a court, there is a case being heard. Now, each side, both the parties are arguing their thing, and those lawyers will get very agitated and argue very strongly. But the judge is just sitting quietly. Why? Because the judge does not have any interest in the outcome. He is only there to listen in an unbiased manner and give the judgment. So, like this, we can see that even for our worldly things, if we are too attached to the outcome, if we are really very anxious about what is going to happen, then we find that it is difficult to do the action in an effective way. So, what we must do? We must learn to stand apart from that event. Say that, how can I do this efficiently? Let me look at what best I can do. Let me not look at what will happen at the end of this action. And when I start doing actions like that, then I will get better judgment. Then I will be able to act in a more efficient manner. And of course, if I learn beyond that, if I go and I try to say that, okay, whatever action I'm doing, ultimately I'm doing it for the pleasure of the Lord. So if I'm doing it for the Lord's pleasure, then my interest in the outcome in this world is gone. So I am saying that I'm doing this action to please the Lord. So I have my goal fixed on Vaikuntha. I have my goal fixed on giving pleasure to the Lord. So with that attitude, when I do my actions, then whatever I am doing, the karmas, they become karma yoga. Right. So then we will move on to the next shloka. So Lord Krishna in the 49th shloka, he says, Durena hyavaram karma, buddhi yoga dhananjaya, buddhau sharanamanvicha, kripana falahetavaha. So he's telling Arjuna that You seek refuge in divine knowledge and insight and give up, you discard the reward seeking actions, which are certainly inferior to works performed with the intellect established in divine knowledge. Miserly are those who seek to enjoy the fruits of their works. So Krishna is saying, O Arjuna, when you are doing any kind of an action, there are two ways you can do. Either you can do it to enjoy the fruit which comes from the action, or you can do it with your mind grounded in what the Lord will feel about it. Or you can use your buddhi in an effective way to do the job effectively so that it gives pleasure to the Lord. Now, if you are going to look at what enjoyment you will get from the action, then you are like a miserly person. You are nothing but a miser. The right way to do the action is to give up the expectation of outcome for your pleasure and to do the action with full usage of your buddhi for the Lord's pleasure. So, what we have to understand from this? When we are doing any action, like especially when it comes to the actions as part of our spiritual practice, we can do those actions, but we must use our buddhi to do those actions in an effective way. Otherwise, that action becomes mechanical action. Now, there are two things here. One, I can do some karma to get some pleasure for myself, for enjoyment. That is miserly, he has told. But the other way is to do by using my buddhi so that I can do that action effectively and with full understanding that this action is going to take me to moksha. So, when we do like this, then the ritual does not remain as a mere ritual, but it really becomes an action which will take us to moksha. To explain this concept, the Acharyas give the examples of the Rishi Patni in Srimad Bhagavatam. So, we may be familiar with this story, which is recited, narrated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, once Krishna and all the Gopalas, Gopa boys, sorry, they all went into the forest. They had taken their cattle for grazing and they went deep into the forest. And then at some point of time, it was late in the afternoon and they were feeling very hungry. So then Krishna told the Gopas that, okay, see there, we can see some smoke. There must be definitely somebody who is living there. And I think it must be the rishis who are doing their homa, yajna and all. So definitely they will have some food there. You go there and ask them to give us some food and you bring it. So these Gopas go there and they go and ask, beg from the Brahmanas. They say, please, we are very hungry, give us. These rishis who are sitting there and doing the yajna, they shout at these boys. They say, what do you mean, give you food? We can't give you right now. We are still yet to finish our homa. We have to do the ahuti in the homa. We have to give the offerings to the Lord. And only after we give the offerings to the Lord, then we will be able to give something to anybody else. Why you? What is the great thing about you and Krishna? We can't give you like that. So you go back and you come back late in the evening. Then after everybody else has finished eating and all that, we will give you whatever is left over. They scold the boys and send them away. These boys come running back to Krishna. And then Krishna says, okay, never mind. You do one thing now. You went to the rishis. They refused, isn't it? Now you go into the ashramas which is there and you ask the rishis patni, the wives of the rishis. You tell them same thing that Krishna is waiting in the forest. He is very hungry. We are all very hungry. And you see what they do. So these boys went back. And the minute they heard that Krishna is in the forest, he is waiting, he is hungry for food, these rishis' wives, they immediately packed up whatever they had prepared, whatever food they had prepared for offering to the Homa. They took all that. Every one of those Rishi Patni took everything. And they came rushing into the forest with the Gopas. And very happily they offered it to Krishna. They fed it to him. Why is it that the Rishi Patni were able to do this? And why did the Rishis not do that? For what purpose the rishis were doing the Homa and Yajna? It was to attain the Lord, to attain His grace. The Lord Himself is asking that you give me food. The rishi is not ready to give it to him. So, what would you call such an action? It is a ritual, no doubt, but it is a ritual which is done mechanically. It is a ritual done without understanding the significance of that ritual. It is a ritual which is being done without paying attention to what actually I want from that ritual. I am doing the Homa to please the Lord. The Lord himself is coming and he has sent somebody asking for food. Will I not give it to the Lord? Will I say I have to offer it into the homa first? Isn't it? This is like, suppose I'm sitting and I have decided that I will do 108 times I will chant this mantra, and then I want to have darshan of the Lord. And I'm sitting and chanting. And somewhere I'm halfway through, I've finished about 50, 60 japas. At that point of time, I hear the Lord's voice and he says, open your eyes and see, I have come to give you darshan. Will I tell the Lord, no, no, you wait. I decided that I will do 108. I'm going to finish 108 and only then I will open my eyes and look at you. Wouldn't that be foolishness? So similar is the case of these rishis and the rishi Patni. They were the ones. Did they have any great education? No. Were they very well versed in the Shastras? Not at all. What was their role? They were only doing cooking, taking care of the ashram and all the such things. But they had their intelligence in the right direction. They were using their buddhi to do the action in an effective way. And that is why they were granted that grace of the Lord. So like this, we have to use our buddhi effectively to perform even the rituals which we are doing, so that we do it with the bhava that we are doing it for the Lord. There is another incident which is told of a lady called Tumbayur Kondi with Swami Ramanujacharya. Now, Swamiji was in Tirupati for some time, occasionally in the middle. So at that point of time, when he was in the matha there, this lady called Tumbayur Kondi used to supply milk and curds and other things to the ashrama. So one fine day when it was time for Swamiji to leave, she came there and she said, I have supplied all the milk and curd and I have come for my dues to be settled. So they had to pay her money. So one disciple, Swamiji, sent her to one of his disciples. Then she went to that disciple and she asked that, please settle my bills. So he said, okay, fine. And he calculated how much money was to be given to her for all the milk, curds and all she had supplied. And he took out that many number of coins and he gave it to her. She refused. She said, Swami, I don't want this. Then he said, what do you want then? He said, no, no, I have heard people talking. They say that Swami Ramanuja will be able to grant us moksha. I want that. Can you imagine this woman who is an illiterate woman, who is an uneducated woman? The only thing she knows is to milk the cows and to carry that milk and curd and sell it. She is telling that I want to get moksha from Swamiji. So this disciple said, no, there is nothing like that. Who told you all this? So she said, no, 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 I have heard and I am firm. I know that it is the truth. So disciple said, okay, come, we will go to Swamiji. So they both went to Swami Ramanuja. And then she insisted, she told Swami, I know that you are the one who is having control over everything that happens in this world. I know Lord has given you this power. Indeed, it was told that Lord Sriman Narayana had given the control of everything, of what happens in the Nitya Vibhuti, that is Sri Vaikuntham, and in the Leela Vibhuti, this world of ours. All control of that was with Swami Ramanuja. So she begged him that, please, I don't want any money for this, whatever I have done. I want you to guarantee me that I will get moksha. So on her insistence, Swamiji actually wrote a note addressed to Venkatramana, saying that please grant this lady moksha. She took that leaf on which he wrote that message, that assurance, and she went and started walking. She started climbing the Tirumala hill. She wanted to get to Lord Balaji, Lord Venkatramana, and present him that and get moksha. It is said that the Lord himself came walking down the hill and met her halfway through and gave her moksha. What was the worldly education of this Tumbayur Kondi? Nothing at all. Did she have any great intelligence? Did she have any great, knowledge of the Shastras? Nothing. But she had the firm conviction that doing this particular action is going to get her moksha. So this is how we must understand this concept, that harness your intelligence, harness the buddhi to do your action in an effective way. Do your action without any inferior goal in mind, but do it with the superior motive of attaining moksha. So that is what Krishna has explained to Arjuna in these two shlokas. So how we can try to follow this? Now, in our initial stages, when we are chanting the Lord's name, We may chant mechanically, but as we go ahead further and further, we must learn to chant with bhava. Have the spiritual emotion that this is the Lord's name. This is what is going to help me get across this samsara. This is what is going to grant me moksha. And when you say with love, then you will find joy in saying that name. So it is told that when the gopis in Vrindavan used to go around selling whatever they were selling, like whether they are selling milk and curds, or they are selling bangles and some other items, right? Or they're selling fruits and vegetables. They wouldn't call out the names of those items, what they were selling. But actually they would say, come and buy Krishna, come and buy Gopala, come and buy Murli Dhara. Like that they used to call out what bhava they had, that they were able to see everything as Krishna. The items, the petty objects they were selling, looked to them like Krishna. We are not at the level of those gopis, but at least when we are saying the Lord's name, we can try and do it with meaning, do it with bhava, do it with constant gratitude that He has given so much to us. And we are lucky to be blessed by His grace. So let us pray that Krishna will bless us with this kind of a bhava and make it easier for us to chant His names with love and to get ahead on this path towards moksha. So let us offer Kritagnyata at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and Guru for inspiring us to start and join this satsang. And let us pray for their blessings and grace to always be on us. I'm sorry, I could not record this during the normal satsang because there was some technical issue. Anyway, I have recorded it separately now, and I will be uploading on YouTube. So thank you everybody for listening, and we will meet again next Thursday. Thank you. Namaskar.